To date, we've struck over 7,000 targets across Iran and its military infrastructure. That is overwhelming force applied with precision. And again, today, our capabilities continue to build, Iran's continue to degrade.
Three United States Navy warships cleared the California coastline and turned southwest toward the Persian Gulf. On board, 2,200 fully combat-loaded Marines from a Marine Expeditionary Unit. No port call schedule, no published return date. The Pentagon had not announced a timeline because there was no timeline to announce. Somewhere in the planning corridors of the Department of Defense, the phrase ground operation had moved from contingency category to active planning category. And the ships now underway were the first physical evidence of that shift. At the same time, 800 miles inland at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the 82nd Airborne Division's Ready Brigade had just been elevated to its highest alert tier. 2 axes, 2 forces, 1 converging signal. This is what a ground operations infrastructure looks like before a single execute order has been issued. At Naval Base San Diego, the embarkation sequence had begun before dawn. Marines assigned to the MEU moved through their battalion staging areas in deliberate columns, each man carrying a fully loaded Molly 2 rucksack packed with 4 uniform sets, a hygiene kit, an individual first aid kit with tourniquet and hemostatic gauze, 210 rounds of 5.56mm ball ammunition across 730-round Stanig magazines, and personal items compressed into waterproof bags. Improved outer tactical vest carriers were fitted with ESAPI ceramic strike faceplates front and rear. Helmet suspension systems were adjusted and chin straps tightened. Every item in every pouch had been inventoried against a laminated packing list the night before. The 3 amphibious warships at the pier represented the complete organic projection capability of a Marine Expeditionary Unit. The amphibious assault ship at the center of the formation carried the MEU's aviation combat element on its flight deck and in its hangar bay below. CH-53E Super Stallion heavy lift helicopters with their 6-blade titanium composite main rotors folded flat. Against their tail booms, MV-22 B Osprey tiltrotor aircraft with proprotors tilted vertical for deck storage, and AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters with AGM-114 Hellfire 2 missiles locked onto their stub wing pylons. Each aircraft was chalked, chained, and covered. Hydraulic reservoirs were checked. Rotor head lubrication points were greased to specification. Every access panel was fastened and torqued. In the well deck below the waterline, AAV-7A 1 assault amphibious vehicles sat in rows. 30-ton tracked platforms engineered to transit open ocean, punch through surf zones, and drive directly onto a hostile beach under their own power. Maintenance crews walked each vehicle checking bilge pump functionality, track tension at every road wheel station, and engine oil pressure at idle. The .50 caliber M2HB machine guns in each commander's cupola were function checked. JP-8 fuel cells confirmed full. As the ships cleared the harbor mouth and the California coastline began to recede, the Marines below decks ran through final gear accountability. Squad leaders moved through berthing compartments, checking serial numbers on night vision devices against issue rosters. AN/PRC-152 radio batteries, primaries and spares verified charged and loaded. Nobody posted a return date on the berthing compartment whiteboards because nobody had one to post. Meanwhile, at Pope Army Airfield adjacent to Fort Bragg, the alert had already compressed the 82nd Airborne standard 18-hour deployment clock. The Division Ready Brigade, the Army's dedicated global response force maintained at continuous deployment readiness, was moving. In the division's equipment bays, motor pool sergeants ran readiness checks across the unit's fleet of high-mobility multi-purpose wheeled vehicles and M119A3 105mm lightweight howitzers. The M119A3 is a 4,100-pound artillery piece engineered specifically for airborne operations, light enough to be rigged to a Type 5 airdrop platform and pushed out the back of a C-17 Globemaster 3 at altitude, or sling-loaded beneath a UH-60M Black Hawk for helicopter delivery into a forward position. Each howitzer had its breech mechanism opened and inspected, recoil cylinder fluid level checked, and equilibrator tension verified before the crew signed off the readiness form. In the battalion arms rooms, M4A1 carbines were drawn with bolt carrier groups cleaned and lubricated with CLP. M240B medium machine guns were checked for headspace and timing with the barrel removed and a headspace gauge inserted into the chamber. M3E1 Carl Gustaf 84mm recoilless rifles were inspected for bore obstruction and firing pin protrusion measurement. Ammunition was issued in full combat loads. Paratroopers packed magazines, staged assault packs, and moved to their assigned chalk positions near the C-17 parking ramp. The C-17 Globemaster III aircraft on Pope's flight line sat with rear cargo ramps lowered. Air Force loadmasters moved through each cargo hold with load planning worksheets, calculating tie-down point locations for vehicles, howitzers, and equipment pallets. Every item would be secured with 25,000-pound rated chains run through floor fittings rated to identical specification. Crew chiefs walked the 8-wheel main landing gear trucks inspecting brake wear, indicators, and hydraulic line connections. Pressurization system integrity verified at the maintenance panel. Each C-17 was being built toward combat-loaded departure weight, and none of them were waiting for a scheduled departure time. They were waiting for an execute order. Paratroopers drawing jump equipment from the rigger shed pulled T-11 main parachutes and began the inspection sequence. Deployment bag condition checked. Suspension line continuity verified from connector links to canopy. MIRPS reserve parachute pilot chute spring tension tested, ripcord pin alignment confirmed. Each paratrooper rigged their weapon into a padded weapons case, attached it to their harness with a lowering line, and connected their combat pack with quick-release snap hooks. A fully rigged paratrooper now carried between 85 and 105 pounds of equipment. They would carry that weight out the door of a C-17 at 800 feet above ground level if the execute order came. At forward-positioned airfields across the Gulf region, the alert notification had already translated into visible activity on the flight line. F-15E Strike Eagles were moved from hardened aircraft shelters onto the apron. Maintenance crews removed engine inlet covers and pitot tube sleeves. Avionics bays opened, checked for fault codes. A PG-70 multi-mode radar systems powered and beam steered through their full azimuth sweep. On the weapons loading points, armament crews staged GBU-31 Joint Direct Attack munitions fitted with MK-84 2,000-pound general-purpose warheads alongside GBU-28 penetrating munitions, a 4,700-pound steel-cased bomb engineered to pass through hardened concrete before detonating. Each weapon raised on an MHU-83 bomb lift truck locked onto its pylon mounting lugs, connected to the aircraft's weapons management system. MAU-12 ejector rack retaining hooks confirmed engaged. Red flagged safety pins inserted into each fuse, left protruding visibly until taxi clearance. Fuel trucks moved down the aircraft line. Each F-15E received a full JP-8 load through the single-point pressure refueling port on the lower fuselage, pumped from a 6,000-gallon R-12 refueler truck until all internal tanks and conformable fuel tanks read capacity. Nozzle unseated, port cap reinstalled and torqued. Truck moved to the next jet. The process repeated down the entire line without pause. At a forward operating base near the Iranian border, Marines who had arrived days earlier on CH-53E Super Stallions were embedded in fighting positions cut into rocky high ground. No shelters, no permanent infrastructure. Crates of 81mm mortar rounds stacked under camouflage netting. AN/PRC-117G satellite radios encrypted and netted to the command post. Claymore mines and placed along the most likely approach routes. The Marines ate cold MREs in their positions with weapons across their laps. Watch rotations kept most of the element on alert rather than sleeping. No return date, no timeline. They had been told to hold the position and wait. The ships were underway. The 82nd Airborne was staged. The F-15Es were armed and cleared to fly. The only variable still unresolved was the word to execute.